Donna Hopkins, Pro Football Plus, out here at Commanders headquarters as we get ready and this team gets ready for their game against the Chicago Bears. And everybody, the first thing people want to know is Jayden Daniels going to play this week. And it's going to be a week-by-week thing, as Coach Quinn said. He did not practice on Wednesday. But Lake and I go backwards and forwards about if he should play, and the whole situation about getting him back out on the field. And Lake, should he play this week as far as against Chicago? Because everybody is building this game against the number 1 and the number 2 quarterback. That seems to be the focus. But this Commanders team is focused on the longevity of having Jayden Daniels out there, not for just one game, but as they go on in the season. So I don't think that we're going to know if he will play until game situation. Not trying to give anybody that intel. This team is not. But what's your thoughts on him being out here? Because we really don't know. We said it's a rib injury, but we don't know the extent of what that means.
I mean, I've been saying I think he's going to play. And I know, you, my good friend, my aunt was like, no, you don't think he's going to play. And then we tried to bring in, some of the other folks around here. Most of
He
them.
had to talk to a ex-player, Santana Moss, because he didn't believe what I was saying. He had to get that on. But that's all good because that's what you want as far as to hear people's thoughts, whether he's going to play or not.
You kind of won that because, it was prevailing theme. Santana, a bunch of people were like, no, they don't think so. They don't think he's playing, and they don't see why you risk it. And my thing is, but he did preface if he can't go.
Yeah.
So I'll say this. If he's at 90%, I think you play him. I do. If he's not, no, you don't. You don't have to mortgage your future for, one game, especially with divisional games coming up on the road. But with that said, he's a gamer, and I look around the league and I look at the Patrick Mahomes of the world, the Josh Allens, the Lamar Jacksons. They've been nicked up before, and they still have played.
But that's in crucial situations when it's the playoffs and the Super Bowl is on the line.
Regular season, that Patrick Mahomes has played gimpy and hurt, and yeah, I understand what you're saying as far as when you look ahead, you don't want to do any more damage to the kid if he's hurt. But if it's one of those injuries that can't get any worse, it's just more of a pain management type thing, I think you play him. But that's why I'm not a GM. That's why we're in the media. But again, you don't want to make this game out to be Jayden versus Caleb. And Dan Quinn said that's not going to be the case. Does he play because he gives our team the best opportunity? And I think that they feel comfortable with what they saw with Marcus Mariota on Sunday.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say one thing about Marcus Mariota and Cliff Kingsbury. They did not change this offense. Whatever the game plan was with Jayden Daniels, it was the same when Marcus Mariota came in. So let's start breaking down this offense when they go up against Chicago. Chicago, when you look at that defense, 5th in the NFL, they have a strong cornerback play. They've got a linebacker that is really good. Montez Sweat, former, and Daron Payne talked about that. He talked about beating his old teammate. But when you look at the Commanders' offense going up against that defense, and that defense is pretty solid. What's your take on that? But before I get your take, let's go to the locker room to hear what the defensive side of the ball had to say about facing the Chicago Bears. You're still smiling, and I'm still smiling for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Definitely last Sunday was one of my best games I ever played. It's something I'm always remember for the rest of my life, for sure.
Coach Quinn talked about just your instincts, just, on the ball and everything that makes you such a great player. Could you just talk about, the last couple of weeks, you just seem like you've been making a lot of noise out there.
Yeah, just getting back to playing how I play. I felt like the first couple games I was getting my feet wet because I didn't play in the preseason like that. I was dealing with a rib injury, and just going out there, and after the Bucks game and the Giants game, I was just like, all right, it's time to get back to playing how you play, which is violent, fast, and physical. And that's something that I emphasize before I go out during the games is like, make sure you play how you're supposed to play with heavy hands and do what you're supposed to do.
Coach Quinn also talked about, and I think you mentioned this in the locker room, that you said that, hey, guys are down. You wanted to come up and step up with those guys being gone.
Yeah, definitely. Da was down. I just wanted to hold him down and make sure there wasn't no drop off and things like that, and go out there and do what I do.
Chicago Bears this week. You look at their potent offense. What are some things that you know defensively that you all have to dial up?
We definitely have to set the line of scrimmage. They have a good running back in Swift. He runs really hard. They got two really great receivers, so we're going to have to put pressure on Caleb Williams. He's a great quarterback. He likes to get outside of the pocket, and he does a lot of really cool things when he's able to get outside the pocket. So we're going to try our best to, try to keep him inside the pocket. Definitely with quarterbacks like him, that's super dangerous when they're on the scramble and stuff like that. We want to try our hardest, to be able to contain him in the pocket for sure.
That's the type of game that you like to play in, going up against, offensive like the Bears right now. What excites you about this game coming up?
Every game excites me, really. Just another opportunity to go out there and showcase what I can showcase. And but these games are really good games. They're a good team. We're a good team going in. You can tell it's a lot of hype going around the games and stuff like that. So definitely gonna be ready for these games.
Everybody's talking about Caleb Williams, but also as far as the running game, wide receivers. Talk to me about some keys this week on defense and what you've learned about them, what you all have to do defensively.
They have great players at receiver, so that's going to be a nice matchup for us at DB. They have a good running back. Overall, they have a good squad. Honestly, I cannot lie to you. They have great weapons, but we have great weapons on defense too. So it's going to be on which team has the less mistake. So that's why, I preached on the communication, how good it was last week against the Panthers and how we was able to fly around the ball because everybody was on the same page. We got to recreate that and then some against them because they're a really good team. And we got to limit the extended plays by Caleb because we know he's good. He can roll around. He can run and all that stuff. We're trying to make sure that he goes through one play, not 10 seconds running around and creating some space because that's what he's good at. So we're trying to limit that.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to ask you, what are some of the things that you all have to do? Like you said, you all have been playing well defensively, and then, as far as the attack, him getting outside the pocket and all those things, of some key things in, keeping him contained.
Some key things to keeping him
contained. Yeah.
That's going to go back to the rush and the coverage playing as one because obviously, he doesn't have – as good as he is, doesn't have the experience as other quarterbacks that have been in the league for a long time. So if we take away his first couple of reads by having good coverage and then we have the rush that's coming in and, disrupting him and putting some pressure, then it's becoming very hard. I mean, we see the stats like how a quarterback performs under pressure and then when he has a clean pocket and that we're trying to make sure that we keep him under pressure and have great coverage so that way, it's not as easy to go through his reads and he can, look at all these weapons because he does have good receivers. So.
What do you like about what you're seeing right now in the last probably 3 or 4 weeks from this defense as far as just forcing turnovers and pretty much in those last 2 games?
Because we know that whoever wins the turnover battle is going to win. Has 80% chance of winning the game. So that's why we preach it. That's our mantra. That's what we believe in. Whoever gets the ball first, whoever gets the ball the most time has 80% chance of winning the game. So our mindset kind of changed from when somebody has the tackle, somebody wrapped and has the tackle, next person comes in, rip the ball out. Don't go for the PBU anymore. We're going for the pick. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of we're reversing our mentality that we're not going to play conservative, not going to play safe. We're going to play smart, but we're going to play aggressive to go out there and get the ball at all times.
I like that, not playing safe. Now, take me through you as far as you always have to go up against one of the top receivers and everything in every game. Talk to me about your mindset in going up against some of the best receivers and what you have to do mentally and what your thought patterns are. What are you seeing there?
I'm always, for me, like I've been doing it for a few years now. Like you said, like going against the top receiver. I know this game is not perfect. It's not a game of being perfect. So I know I'm gonna lose some, but I'm gonna win some. And the goal is to always win more than I lose some. So that's why I never get too high, never get too low. I'm always on to the next play and going through all my keys. So the main thing I would say from my position is to really go through my progression every single time, regardless of what's the result of the last play. I make a good play, Google would celebrate. All right, we go back to it. Because if you get lost and now you how did I do this? I should have done that or whatever. That's how you get. Because honestly, in my opinion, after quarterback, defensive back is the hardest position to play. And now you got to make sure that you're not too aggressive, because they might get a penalty here and there that costs some field position. So, but it's a battle. It's a battle physically and it's a battle mentally. It's kind of like a chess game. Like, what is he gonna do? Okay, I'm gonna step this way. He's studying me just like I'm studying him throughout the whole game. We're trying to figure each other out, like how he's gonna run this and all that stuff. So, honestly, when I get back in my car, I'm exhausted, but I love it. I love it. It's a battle. It's mano a mano, and that's what I signed up for.
Well, you look at these stats right now as far as just Chicago, seventh in the NFL, passing 180 yards. They're giving up 4 touchdowns as far as their passing. And their run defense, they've given up 10 rushing touchdowns. The Bears have allowed, and they, like I said, got a great linebacker in Jack Sanborn. So when you look at just the credentials of this team with the Chicago Bears on defense, and they have gotten better since the start of the season, what's some keys this Commanders defense? Because we know the secondary is still gelling, but they have gotten better. Do they win this battle?
Listen, everyone's talking about the Bears, and there's a lot of fans out there saying, oh, Washington hasn't seen a defense like this. They're better than the Ravens defense. I want to make sure everyone really understands what I'm about to say and take it however you want it. Who have the Bears played? The 4 teams that the Bears played this year have 4 wins combined. They're 4-20. That's who they've been playing. So, yeah, your defense is probably really good, but they probably look great because of who they've played.
Yeah.
So, in fairness to everyone saying Washington hasn't played a defense like the Bears, well, the Bears haven't played an offense like Washington's. So something's got to give, and Chicago's coming on the road. So you ask me, do they have a chance? Of course they do. And I think that, again, Chicago's going to see some things that they haven't seen. And luckily for them, they might be able to see it without Jaden. But Marcus Mariota showed last week in that offense, they're not changing the game plan. They're still, all these quarterbacks practice the same things. So it's not like they have, 4 different game plans for 4 different quarterbacks. No, it's the same game plan. And now the most important person in the building come Sunday, it's not Caleb, it's not Jaden, it's not, Eberflus, it's not Dan Quinn, it's Cliff Kingsbury. And if he can dial up some more of this amazing offense that he's doing, this college offense, Chicago's defense might be walking away from Northwest Stadium saying, I've never seen that either.
Hey, like I was just getting ready to say, you just hit the point that I was going to make, is that it doesn't, and they proved that last week, that it doesn't matter who's behind the center. It's the Cliff Kingsbury offensive scheme that he dials up for each team. And the thing about it is that a lot of times that you see the coaches are saying that, oh, we're going to play this defense, so we have to counter this defense. But it's not this way for this Commanders offensive side. They are basically saying, you got to stop us. So they're basically putting together their game plan and not worrying about what's on the defensive side of the ball. Because if they can execute that the way they have been with a running game, with having Brian Robinson back was key last week. They had 200 and some yards on the ground. He had 71. Then you got Eckler, and then you got McNichols. And then the passing game has really gotten better, because Terry McLaurin said this a couple of weeks ago. He said that they are moving without the ball. And something they weren't doing in the past is you don't have to have the ball, but you have to keep moving.
Yeah, I mean, they are. They're moving the chains, so they're giving their defense, rest. And I think that's something that's really important, is that when you look at, the games that the defense has really struggled, the offense, didn't sustain long drives. You go back to the second half of the Ravens game. Once the offense started really moving the ball, You saw the defense start to make some plays against the Ravens in that loss. You go back to the first game in Tampa, the offense really couldn't stay in sync, so the defense was on the field an awful lot in that first game in that stifling heat that we both experienced. So now, you look at the wins. Although they're scoring lots of points now, they're moving the ball in between the 20s and they're getting in the red zone quite a bit. So it doesn't matter if Austin Seibert's kicking a field goal, they're still putting up points and they're still sustaining 10-play-plus drives, which gives your defense a chance to rest, to be able to pin their ears back when they're on the field. And that's what they're going to have to do this week against Chicago. I think it's going to be one of those games where, let's just say Jaden doesn't play. And that seems to be the prevailing theme amongst some of us.
It's early. It's still early, but we don't know.
So if he doesn't play, and Marcus does play, not to take anything away from Marcus because he proved last week that, he is the consummate professional. But I think you're going to have a heavy dose of like B-Rob. You're going to have, Austin Eckler, Jeremy McNichols. You're going to have to see a lot more running to kind of just, eat up some clock and not make this a shootout, because Caleb is playing well in that Bears offense. They are starting to throw the ball. Again, let's preface this against who they've played, but it's still the NFL, and every team's tough and every game's tough. So Chicago's coming in here feeling pretty good about themselves, and as they should. But I think this Commanders team feels like, what they saw on Sunday, that Donna, we can beat whoever we go up against, regardless if Jaden's playing or not, and that's the mark of a good football team.
Well, one thing about the Bears is they're stingy as far as the yards they give up in the passing. I think 180, I mentioned that. Running game is even less than that. So I think it's 292 yards defense that they give up per game. So, like you said, Mariota should not struggle, because the same offense that was dialed up for Jaden, whether he plays or whoever is back there, the key thing is that they have to be aggressive. They've got to jump out. The defensive side of the ball, some of the players told me, said because the offense stays on the field so much, they don't have to come on there. So they're well rested, but they know what their assignment is this week going up against that Chicago's offense. But let's switch to, as far as the defense, the offense more so of Chicago and our defense and what they've got to do, because the Commanders' defense is ranked, I think, 12th in the NFL overall. Passing, they've been able to sustain. The run is something that they struggle with in shutting down that, and Swift is one of those guys that has DeAndre Swift.
DeAndre Swift, yes.
He's one of the key guys for them in that backfield. So, and then they got, the wide receiver, Allen, Carter, DJ Moore, and Johnson. So when you look at those guys that they have to stop and everything, their gap control as far as tackling, as far as the communication, because they constantly say that is their communication has gotten better, and you could see that. But all of those things have to be clicking this week.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough assignment. It is. Because the back end of Washington's defense has been susceptible to, sometimes miscommunication, and they give up chunk plays. And what Chicago's doing is they're trying to get the ball out of Caleb's hand a lot faster than, he was a guy that was known for making off-schedule throws coming out of college, out of USC in Oklahoma. So now they're trying to make sure that it's, drop back, get the ball out within 2-3 seconds, similar to what this team does with Jaden. And if you look at the weapons that he has, he has Cole Kmet, a really good tight end, Pro Bowl caliber tight end. You got Keenan Allen, the future Hall of Famer. Roma Dunze, their first-round pick's a really good one as well. And then, of course, DJ Moore, who needs no introduction in this market because he's a Maryland kid. So, they're loaded. DeAndre Swift, who came over from Philadelphia, isn't necessarily a home run back, but he's definitely an elusive type, guy that does run with some power as well. So he's a guy that you have to be leery of if you're Washington. So they're going to have their hands full. But I think you just mentioned the number that they're ranked 12th overall now. That's ascending.
Yes.
Because just 2-3 weeks ago, they were in the bottom 20s,
Yeah.
So the defense has turned the corner. They're making plays. And the most important thing that they're doing is they're starting to turn the ball over. And when you do that, you always give yourself a chance to win.
Well, the pass defense is 12th in the NFL as far as the Commanders, and they're 16th in the NFL overall. And the great thing is Jordan McGee is going to play, going to be suiting back up. That's the guy that everybody knows that
like him quite a bit.
Jamison Davis got let go. Jordan McGee is a guy that they had high hopes on, and then he had the little injury, but he will play this week. How much, we don't know, but it's good to have him back in the lineup, and he is eager to go. So before I let you talk, Lake, let's go to the locker room to hear from Jordan McGee. Coach said that you've been brought back up. Talk about just being able to get back out there now.
I would say just testimony to my hard work. The days and nights of me just rehabbing and getting out there, getting back to football speed, that past 21 days, that whole practice window, just been getting me ready for this moment now.
So in getting ready for the moment, getting out there for the first time, what's the mindset?
Just go out there, have fun, contribute any way the team needs me to. If that's special teams, go out there and do my best on special teams. Punt, what I did today, I did some punt block return. Just get out there, whatever the team needs, I'll do.
How did you feel?
I felt great. It felt good to be running back out there with my team. They congratulated me when I went back out on the field.
How hard is it to get up to like football speed, being out there and then game speed, I guess?
I say it takes maybe about a week just to get back to that, get your wind back, just running around. And I'll say I was back ready in about 2 weeks, game speed. Yeah.
Chicago Bears this week, big game. Talk to me about the Bears and what do you see there?
The Bears are a great team. I think they're 5-2 or 4-2. They got a lot of great players on their team. Caleb, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Swift. It's a lot of them, but we have great players too. And we go out there, do what we need to do, and the rest is history.
How exciting will it be to be out there for the first time actually in a game like this magnitude?
It'll feel crazy. We got a lot of head of steam. 5-2. Home game too. The fans could be turned. So this could be a blessing. And I'm happy to be back out there with my team.
And like one other guy that has really come on the last 2 weeks because he's healthy now is Dante Fowler. This guy got the touchdown, interception, ran it back for the touchdown. And I was laughing with Deron Payne because he was step by step. And that shows you a little bit about this defense because he ran and he had key blocks all the way down to make sure that he got into the end zone. But Deron, as I was telling you, everybody's talking about you going step by step with Dante down that field. Talk to me just about that and a little bit about this game coming up against the Chicago Bears.
Man, our team, like our defense is all about like running and hitting. So like when big plays happen, they want us to run. So all I was thinking about was just trying to beat him in a race. But man, Chicago, they got a good team and they got a good front seven. And Montez, I know he gonna be hungry to come back and try to do some things. So I hope he have a horrible day on Sunday. Yeah, man, they got a young quarterback who's very elusive and can make some plays with his feet. So it's gonna be a fun game for us as a front and as a defense.
What's some key things that that you all have to dial up against? Like you just mentioned, a quarterback like Caleb Williams, and then Swift, the running game, and then wide receivers. What's some key things that this defense has been playing quite well lately? But what's key things for you? You think?
We just have to set violent edges, contain. I know Swift, he's very explosive in open space, and they like to get him on the edge and get him going fast. So we just have to set the edges and put out the run game and contain Caleb Williams, just keep him in the pocket as much as we can.
But Dante is a guy that's really making some noise over the last few weeks. Coach Quinn talked about his instincts, of seeing the ball and knowing how to move and react and so forth. That makes him such a great player to have out there during this time of the year. And he stepped up when, last week, Allen being out for the season and then Armstrong not being in there. And then, Johnny Newton being up there in the front. So those guys really stepped up last week. But what are you seeing in Dante that really helps this defense even more so?
Yeah, he's come alive. And, he said it today to us that, You know, everything's clicking for him, and he knew he had to kind of turn it up. He said he didn't really play in the preseason, you know, so it's just, guys, remember we talked to Bobby Wagner, you know, after the first game, you know, if you haven't played in the preseason, it doesn't matter if you're a wily veteran, you still have to get your wind under you. You still have to get everything going, and right now he's in his bag. He's playing well, and he's looking eerily similar to the young version of Dante Fowler Jr. that the Jacksonville Jaguars took, I think, back in 2015, the number 3 overall pick. I mean, so they're seeing why they brought him over from Dallas. You know, he played with Dan Quinn and Joe Witt, and they knew that he could give him a burst on the edge. And, you know, he's a linebacker that's playing defensive end kind of hybrid, you know. And for right now, I think that he's become their most focal, you know, pointed type of player as far as where Caleb Williams and the Bears are going to look to see where he's lined up. And I think what you're going to see, and not to give away any kind of game strategies, but I think he and Frankie Louvu are going to be opposite sides of the field. You know, or maybe you can shadow each other and kind of hide what you're going to do. But this guy's really turned it up, and he's playing I mean, honestly, over the last 2 weeks, he's playing at a Pro Bowl level.
Yeah. Didn't spend much time talking about the offense as much because I wanted to spend a lot of time on this defense as far as what they had to do. Got a chance to talk to multiple defensive guys, and they're not afraid of anybody right now. They talked about the brotherhood of this team right now, and I think that's what you're seeing on the field, off the field. We'll catch up with some offensive players a little later on the week, tell you a little bit more about if Jayden Daniels is going to go, if he's able to practice on Thursday. Don't know about any of those things, but one thing we know, that we're ready for this game coming up against the Chicago Bears. Donna Hopkins with Lake Lewis out here at Commanders headquarters as we get ready for the Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams, and all of the other stuff.